like clock. I can't stop. Fuck around, make my 40 pop. No popcorn, I pop pistol.
Boruto episode 167. This episode is definitely a very good episode for what it was. This episode is definitely a build-up episode for what's to come in the future. And we have no idea if the Kata actuation arc is actually completely finished yet. But regardless, it was basically the ending to the initial mission of the Kata actuation arc. And it basically accomplished everything that they wanted to accomplish. Konohamaru and Mugino are basically going to go out and try to figure out exactly what's going on with Victor's company. Boruto and Sarada understands that they need to get better. And also, we're going to start seeing some episodes with Boruto and Sarada actually training for once. Also, and arguably the most important thing, we got to hear some Kata organization dialogue and also kind of hear about their next moves. Now, the first thing that I do want to talk about is obviously the Kata organization. They basically said that the Kata organization was established almost over 5 years ago. Now, that's insane in itself. There's basically no record of Victor and Deepa in the bingo book of the 5 great nations. That right there is a feat in itself, especially for a character like Deepa. We understand that Victor seems to be a little bit more reserved. He's a little bit more cold and calculated. Deepa, on the other hand, he's a complete wild card, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people like him because of that. Not only because Deepa is completely unpredictable, but Deepa is extremely strong. Not only that, he basically has a lust for killing people. You'd think that Deepa would definitely be listed on a couple of bingo books, so that right there is just impressive in itself. We also understand that Deepa and Victor aren't really trusted in this quote-unquote organization. It seems that Victor might actually be the weakest member. Now, Deepa kind of exposed Victor in this episode. He basically said that Victor is only in the Kata organization mainly because he made a sizable donation to the actual organization. Now, I was kind of thinking, because as we know, with an organization like this, it's supposed to be the big bad blood of the Boruto anime. It has to be only overpowered characters. Deepa, in my opinion, definitely fits that description, and the Boruto writers are basically hyping Deepa up to actually be that type of character. In the particular situation that we're in with Victor, it really doesn't seem like he's that, bloodthirsty. Doesn't really seem like he's that cold, and doesn't seem like he's that completely overpowered. Now, don't get me wrong, Victor is definitely a very strong character. He went toe-to-toe with 2 hidden leaf jonins and basically was completely playing with them, just fondling them. But in my opinion, Deepa is definitely a different breed, and from what we see in the Boruto manga, and especially from what we're seeing in the Boruto anime, it seemed like Victor, even though he's super strong, might actually be the weakest member of this quote-unquote organization. And that just shows you guys how strong the other people in the organization might actually be. Another weird thing that I do want to talk about is what they're actually going to be doing next. And Victor told Deepa that they have to retrieve the quote-unquote item. I really don't know exactly what they're talking about, mainly because I could have sworn that they actually retrieved the Hashirama cell. Maybe they have to retrieve something else to mix with that Hashirama cell. Maybe they have to retrieve something else that's completely unrelated to the Hashirama cell. I have no idea, but because Deepa is going out to quote-unquote retrieve this item, it basically leaves Victor in the land hidden in the valley for Konohamaru and Mugino to have a clear rematch. Deepa is not going to be a factor when Konohamaru and Mugino actually does pull up. And I think this is definitely a very good idea for the Boruto writers, because if Deepa was actually there, there is no possible way that Konohamaru and Mugino were gonna both escape alive. It's just that simple. I just have that much respect for Deepa. Now, the next thing that I definitely do want to talk about is Boruto, Sarada, and Mitsuki going to the hospital and getting help. We understand that Mitsuki went back to Orochimaru's hideout, and I can't stress this enough. This right here was super important for a lot of people who are just asking, why isn't Mitsuki going into Sage mode? We now see visually why Mitsuki can't go into Sage mode. Mitsuki's organ system is completely shot. Like, he needs completely new organs, and he's not even sure if Mitsuki will actually survive. Mitsuki in Sage mode is said that he's basically as strong as Orochimaru. Orochimaru himself, I'm not even sure he'd be able to completely defeat Deepa. So Mitsuki going completely one-on-one with Deepa in Sage mode would potentially be assured destruction for Mitsuki. And it wasn't only good for this specific arc. As you guys know, we're on episode 166. One of the greatest mysteries of the whole 167 episodes is, why isn't Mitsuki so readily entering the Sage mode? A lot of people are now gonna understand. And also, I love seeing Log. One of my dreams for the Boruto anime is to see Log actually enter a fight that's actually meaningful. For example, if Log would have potentially sensed that Mitsuki was in danger and then just pulled up on Deepa, and then him and Deepa would just have a complete one-on-one fight, I'm telling you guys right now, that would probably arguably be one of my favorite episodes in the Boruto anime, period. Now, Boruto and Sarada's situation, that scene in my opinion was definitely a very good scene. It was extremely tense. It was a lot of emotions going around. Naruto pretty much rushed into the door. He basically was completely worried about Boruto, but he had to put on a cool face moment because he's seen his daughter and his wife there, and they were completely worried. I just loved how Naruto just maintained his composure and basically put everybody at ease. That was definitely a very good scene for Boruto, and I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys like that as well. Now, specifically on Boruto and Sarada's character in this episode, Boruto and Sarada understood that they needed to get strong, and I think this was definitely a very good thing to showcase how Boruto and Sarada not only have grown, own, but how they're different from the previous generation. One of the key differences from Boruto and Naruto is the fact that Boruto isn't as stupid as Naruto. Now don't get me wrong, I love Naruto and I think that Boruto is still definitely stupid, but Boruto was a complete prodigy. When he was in the academy, he aced every single test without studying. So Boruto understands if a situation isn't necessarily to his advantage. And in this particular situation, it just completely showed that. He understood that he wasn't necessarily as strong as Deepa, and he understood that there was no possible way that he could potentially beat Deepa. And Sarada herself is even more calculated, so she automatically understood that she needed to get better, and not only that, she understood exactly what she needed to get better at. But the biggest thing that we could take away from that situation is the fact that Boruto and Sarada will actually be training in the upcoming episodes. And a lot of you guys have been begging for like a training arc or a pseudo training episode for a very long time, and that's exactly what we're gonna get in the upcoming episodes. Now, I don't really know exactly how Boruto is gonna actually convince Kakashi to actually take him in for training. I potentially thought that Kakashi would have been a lot more kind of happy to get the ability to train Boruto, because he knows that Boruto is that much of a prodigy, and also his views aligns with Boruto's that much as well. But also we have to understand Kakashi is a retired ninja and he is a retired Hokage on top of that. So of course Kakashi's coming from a situation where he was working every single day, not doing shinobi stuff, just reading papers and everything like that. So for Kakashi to actually retire and actually be chilling, you gotta understand where he's coming from when he does understand that this work is kind of annoying. He was doing it for like 20 plus years already. Now I know a lot of people are going to be asking questions about how Mitsuki's kind of being left out of the training situation. And I think Mitsuki's training is just going to be Orochimaru adding some upgrades. I really don't believe that they're going to give Boruto a power boost, Sarada a power boost, and then leave Mitsuki standard. I made a video a couple of days ago how I talked about how Mitsuki really didn't necessarily need to do a lot of training to actually become extremely strong. Mitsuki is at an advantage because he is a synthetic human being. He could pretty much just add upgrades via surgery. And we see in this previous episode how Orochimaru, he was kind of trying to mask it, but Orochimaru was actually sad that a person he viewed as his son almost died or is still potentially about to die. And I think Orochimaru is going to take it upon himself to actually add upgrades to Mitsuki to actually make Mitsuki stronger. And now I'm not saying that Orochimaru is going to take some Shinuchiya Sharingans and then lob them into Mitsuki. I think the upgrades are going to be a lot more subtle than that, but I strongly doubt that Mitsuki is going to actually stay the same after the surgery when he does get his brand new organs from Orochimaru. But let me know what you guys think about this episode in the comment section below, and give me your opinions about what you guys think the upcoming episodes are going to be about, because as I said, we don't really know exactly what's going to happen in the upcoming episodes outside of them actually training and outside of Konohamaru and Mugino actually going into the land of silence. It's going to be a very fun time to see exactly what's going on, and I really hope that we do dive a lot more deep into the Kata organization and potentially start adapting some of the Boruto manga chapters. Let me know what you guys think. It's been your boy Baara B, and we out.
It's a knife.